If you're planning a cruise in September, stop right there. September is actually the riskiest month of the entire year to set sail, and cruise lines will never warn you about it. Between hurricanes, canceled ports to hidden deals, September cruises can be a gamble. But don't worry, I'll reveal how to make it work in your favor, and make sure you stick with me, because at tip 9, I'll reveal the little-known September cruise hack that can save you over $500. But only if you know exactly how to use it. If you're new here, welcome to Cruise Intel. I share weekly cruise tips that save you money, stress, and time at sea. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next insider guide. Now, let's dive into the 10th of September cruise secrets and hacks you need to know. 1. Hurricane season reality check. When most people see how cheap cruises are in September, they immediately think, this must be the perfect time to go. But here's the truth. September is actually the peak of hurricane season. In fact, around 40% of all Atlantic hurricanes happen in September alone. That means the odds of storms, rough seas, or canceled ports are higher than almost any other time of year. Now, does this mean you should never cruise in September? Not at all. It just means you have to cruise smarter. Instead of booking Eastern Caribbean itineraries, which are more vulnerable to storms, consider the Western Caribbean, the Bahamas, or even the Mediterranean, where the risk is much lower. With the right planning, you can still enjoy those rock-bottom prices without letting the weather ruin your trip. So let me ask you, would you risk sailing during hurricane season if it meant saving hundreds of dollars? Drop your answer in the comments because I'm curious how many of you would roll the dice. 2. Why prices are dirt cheap. So, why are cruises in September some of the cheapest of the entire year? The answer is pretty simple. Once school starts back up, demand drops off a cliff. Families with kids can't travel as easily, and cruise lines don't want their ships sailing half-empty. To fill cabins, they slash prices, often by hundreds, even thousands compared to summer sailings. For example, a 7-night Caribbean cruise in July might cost you $1,200 per person, but in September, you could find that exact same cruise for under $700. That's a massive savings, especially if you're booking for 2 or more people. The key here is flexibility. If your schedule allows you to cruise in September, you can take advantage of deals that most families simply can't. But remember, those cheap prices come with trade-offs, like the higher risk of storms we just talked about. Still, if you're someone who values saving money and enjoying a less crowded ship, September is your golden opportunity. 3. Your itinerary could vanish overnight. Here's something most first-time September cruisers don't realize. Your itinerary can change at the drop of a hat. Because of hurricanes and tropical storms, ports can, and often do, get canceled or swapped with little notice. I've experienced this myself. On one September sailing, we were supposed to stop in St. Thomas, but a storm changed course and the captain had no choice but to reroute us. Instead, we ended up in Nassau, which wasn't even on the original plan. Now, for some passengers, this caused frustration. They had their hearts set on a particular excursion or maybe even a bucket list destination. But here's the reality. If you book a September cruise, you need to go in with an adventure mindset. Think of it this way. Your vacation is less about the ports and more about the overall experience on board. If you embrace that flexibility, a rerouted itinerary can actually feel like a surprise adventure rather than a disappointment. 4. The silver lining, fewer crowds. One of the biggest perks of cruising in September is something people rarely talk about: fewer crowds. With kids back in school and families staying home, the ships feel completely different. Pools aren't packed shoulder to shoulder, dining rooms don't have long waits, and even popular onboard activities feel more relaxed. It's almost like having the ship to yourself. This is especially good news if you're traveling as a couple or even solo, because September sailings naturally create a calmer, more adult-friendly atmosphere. Instead of competing with spring break energy or summer family chaos, you get a more laid-back vibe where it's easier to unwind. Imagine walking into a spa without a long line, or grabbing that perfect poolside lounger without waking up at 6 a.m. to claim it. That's the September difference. So if you're someone who values peace and quiet, and you'd rather relax than rush, September might actually be the best time of year to cruise, even with the risks we've already covered. 5. Alaska in September. Worth it? Now let's talk about Alaska in September. This one's a bit of a double-edged sword. On the plus side, you'll find some of the biggest discounts of the entire season. Because it's the very end of Alaska's cruising calendar, cruise lines lower prices dramatically to fill the last few sailings. Wildlife spotting can also be incredible. You may see bears stocking up before winter, whales migrating, and even the start of fall colors painting the landscape. But here's the flip side. September in Alaska is colder, wetter, and darker. Rain is common, and you'll need to be ready for unpredictable weather. The trick here is preparation. Pack waterproof jackets, good walking shoes, and plenty of warm layers. If you can handle a little rain and chill, you'll enjoy fewer crowds and some unforgettable scenery, all at a fraction of the cost. For bargain hunters, Alaska in September can be an absolute gem. 6. Mediterranean. The sweet spot. If the Caribbean feels too risky in September, there's another destination that might just be perfect: the Mediterranean. In fact, many travelers consider September the sweet spot for Europe cruising. Why? Because the summer tourist rush is finally over. Families and large groups head home once school starts, leaving historic cities and iconic landmarks far less crowded. Yet the weather is still warm and pleasant, ideal for strolling ancient ruins, enjoying outdoor cafes, or exploring cultural gems in Italy, Greece, and Spain. It's the best of both worlds: comfortable temperatures without the overwhelming crowds, plus prices usually drop compared to peak summer months, making it easier to stretch your budget. For culture-heavy cruisers, this is truly a dream season. You get to experience destinations like Santorini, Rome, or Barcelona without battling massive tourist lines. So if you're wondering, is a Mediterranean cruise September experience worth it? The answer is a resounding yes, especially if you want history, culture, and comfort all rolled into one trip. 7. Smart hurricane proofing. If you do decide to cruise in September, you need to hurricane-proof your trip. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is flying in on the same day as their cruise. Never do this, especially in September. Flights get delayed or canceled all the time due to storms, and missing your ship is a nightmare. The smart move is to always fly in at least one day early. Book a hotel near the port so you've got a buffer if weather disrupts your travel. Next, use refundable flights and hotels whenever possible. That way, if your cruise gets canceled or rerouted, you're not stuck losing money. Finally, this is the month when travel insurance becomes non-negotiable. Look specifically for policies that cover hurricane disruption, things like missed ports, canceled cruises, or delayed flights. It may cost a little extra upfront, but it could save you thousands if your trip takes an unexpected turn. September cruising can be rewarding, but only if you plan for the storms before they arrive. 8. The adult's paradise. Here's a perk that doesn't get enough attention. September cruises often feel like an adult paradise. With kids back in school, ships are noticeably quieter and more adult-friendly. This creates a completely different atmosphere on board. Pools and hot tubs aren't filled with splashing kids, the spa has more openings, and lounges feel more like relaxed cocktail bars rather than family hangouts. Even the nightlife gets a boost, with more adults enjoying live music, comedy shows, or late-night dancing. For couples looking for a romantic getaway or solo travelers who prefer a calmer environment, September can be one of the best months to sail. Imagine enjoying dinner without the rush, or slipping into the pool without worrying about finding a chair. It's a whole different vibe compared to peak summer. So, let me ask you, would you prefer a cruise packed with families and kids or a calmer ship where adults get most of the spotlight? Let me know in the comments because everyone's travel style is different. 9. The secret money saver. Big T's payoff. Remember at the beginning when I promised a money-saving hack? Here it is. September isn't just about cheap cruise fares, it's also when cruise lines quietly launch flash sales to fill unsold cabins. And here's the secret. Many of these deals can be stacked with extra perks like onboard credit, free Wi-Fi, or drink packages. For example, a balcony cabin that might cost $1,000 in July could drop to $650 in September. Plus include $200 in onboard credit if you book during the right sale. That's a double win, cheaper fare and extra spending money. The key to snagging these deals is timing. Don't wait until the last minute. Instead, start watching for offers about 60 to 90 days before sailing. That's when cruise lines know exactly how many cabins they still need to sell, and they roll out the best incentives. If you're flexible and willing to grab those offers fast, you can turn September into your biggest cruise bargain of the year. 10. The one thing you can't skip: insurance. If you only remember one tip from this video, let it be this: never cruise in September without travel insurance. It's tempting to skip it to save money, but that can be one of the costliest mistakes you'll ever make. September is unpredictable, ports can be canceled, flights can be delayed, and entire cruises can even be scrapped due to hurricanes. Without coverage, you could lose thousands in non-refundable fares, flights, and hotel costs. The smart move is to look for policies that include cancel for any reason protection. This gives you flexibility if plans change, whether it's weather-related or just personal. It also covers those unexpected hiccups like missed connections or trip delays. Think of it as your safety net. You may not need it, but if a storm pops up and throws your plans off course, you'll be thankful you invested in it. September cruises can be amazing, but insurance is the one thing you should never, ever skip. Alright, let's do a quick recap before we wrap up. Cruising in September comes with both amazing perks and serious risks. It's the month with the cheapest cruises of the year, but remember that hurricane risks are very real. If you're looking for alternatives, Alaska and the Mediterranean can be hidden gems in September, offering incredible value and unique experiences. And above all, never forget travel insurance. It's the one safety net that can save your entire trip. Keep these in mind and you'll know exactly how to cruise smarter this September. So, let me ask you, would you cruise in September now that you know the truth, or does it still feel too risky for you? Drop your answer down in the comments because I'd love to hear your take. And if you got value from this video, please give it a like. It really helps other cruisers find this information and plan better trips.